Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Generation X Politics, and this video is sponsored by contribution from Tammy, and here's her story. Dear Ollie, I'm writing to you because I am finally to a point, energy-wise and mentally, to where I have to walk away from this nightmare with my boyfriend forever. But I'm having issues taking this leap into the unknown. With no friends or family support, I could sure use your opinion on my situation and hopefully find a bit of encouragement through your words and finally make this step I know I must take. So if you don't mind me saying, basically I want to rent your friendship for a short time to help me take this terrifying step into the unknown that I'm facing right now. By reading this on your channel and offering your input on the matter as well as your opinion as to how I should proceed when leaving. Even if you end up thinking I am the problem, this relationship is completely toxic and it's time to go regardless of who's to blame. I guess I'm just looking for a little clarity on the situation as I feel I'm completely lost and confused at this point. And yes, you don't have to worry. I fully realize a friend is someone who speaks truth even if it hurts. Alright, good. So I'm ready to hear your opinions even if they are somewhat hurtful. I just need a friendly ear and an honest voice more than anything. So I figured you were the perfect candidate to reach out to after watching your videos and realizing that it seems to be the way you naturally operate. Right. Look, if you're the problem, I'm going to tell you you're the problem. It's just the way it is. And I just don't sugarcoat anything, you know? Do you want a doctor that pussyfoots around the problem and doesn't really make you feel better? Or do you want to know what's wrong? I'm going to tell you what's wrong. And I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. It's just a comparison. So anyway, I believe I may be with a narcissist, but I'm not completely convinced that the problem doesn't actually lie with me. And to be clear, as you're reading this, you'll probably ask yourself why I didn't leave at various points throughout this entire ordeal. The answer is because, as a crackhead would say, I was chasing the dragon. I was constantly trying to find the guy. I was constantly trying to... Jesus. Sorry, the page shifted. I was constantly trying to find the guy I first met who seemed perfect for me and who made me feel so good in the beginning. I was hooked on him like a drug. I'm fully aware of this. So just wanted to state this fact before it becomes a repeated question throughout. Guess I had to hit my rock bottom, which took 18 years to find, but thank God I finally found it. At least I learned that supposedly I will be thankful for finding it if I ever feel clear-headed again. Anyway, moving on. We're unmarried. We have been together for 18 years. Yes, he has major commitment issues. Father left when he was young, controlling mother or sister, etc., etc. We have no children, thank the fuck Christ. We started living together after a year of dating in 2002, and then almost immediately he did a 180 on me. Well, if you've been living with him since 2002, you're, depending on what state you are, I mean, I don't know a state in the country that wouldn't consider you at least common law married at that point. You share that much time together. He became very cold toward me almost overnight and seemed to lack any empathy completely for the pain that caused me. To his friends and family, he acted like a loyal, caring, and loving person. The person I thought he was too up to that point. I was the only person he treated with no love or compassion. He has always said that our problems are because of me. When asked if he felt he had issues that could be when asked if he felt he had issues that could be to blame as well, he claims sure he does, but then can't list anything specific, or flat refuses to, I should say. A couple of the things he says that I do that he takes the most issue with are, I cry a lot, and I am too sensitive. Okay. How much are you crying? Okay? Look. Crying in front of your husband, in front of your boyfriend, in front of your man, like, look, when you do it over and over and over again, you become numb to it. You become numb to it. And it comes off as histrionic, and it comes off as borderline a lot of the times. These constant, if you're constantly bawling and crying, to what ends? Why are you bawling and crying? Are you trying to accomplish something? Are you trying to get something out of them? What's your goal here? I've even been known to lock myself in our guest room, or sometimes days at a time, just crying and sleeping. Yet nobody wants to deal with that, Tammy. That's histrionic. That's borderline behavior. You're an adult. You're an adult. Locking yourself in the room, crying, sleeping. People are going to shut down. Okay? And my first and my first comment would be to you, who wants to marry that? Who's going to put a ring on that? Constantly running around, crying, overly sensitive, and to your own admission, you're locking yourself in a guest bedroom for days at a time. And you wonder why he's coming off cold at times. Now again, this is the first thing you're telling me. I don't know how deep we're getting into this. But I'm telling you right off the bat, from just experience on this channel, anybody will tell you these are borderline behaviors. And I just talked about it in the last video, which maybe you saw and why you're writing in now. So that happens. I've even been known to lock myself in our guest bedroom for sometimes days at a time, just crying and sleeping, not even coming out to eat, but only to use the bathroom. Yeah, it's manipulative. That is manipulative behavior. Nobody wants to deal with that, and a guy will just eventually shut down. And you know why he'll stay? Because he doesn't want to deal with the drama of leaving and the hassle of leaving and the histrionics of and all of that. So it's just easier to be cold and stick it out. That's what I think is going on. I mean, just right from what you're telling me right now. Now, I don't know what his other behaviors are yet, so I'm sure there's more to this. I know this is crazy behavior, and I know he hates this about me now. He does. I'm telling you, not that he hates it, he resents it. He resents you for it. Resents you every time you're crying, and he wants to go, come on, little baby, you're gonna cry, you're gonna cry. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do to you. And I'm not sure, like I told the last person who wrote in, that's what you got to do. And maybe that's what he has to do to make you stop. Because obviously you're getting some sort of satisfaction in the end. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep doing it over and over and over again. So it must be serving some sort of means for you. I know this behavior is crazy, and I know he hates this about me now. It's not something that started until these past few years. So yeah, there's that. It's not something that started until these past few years. So you're saying this has been going on all the time? It's not something that started until these past few years. I don't. All right, so you're saying it's been all the time, or it's just started these past few years? Oh, no, you're saying, yeah, it's not something that started until these past. So you've been doing this your whole life. That's what you're basically saying. Unless I'm reading that wrong, or you wrote that. So yeah, there's that. Okay. Another big issue is he has with me is I'm unemployed. And honestly, I'm not even looking for a job because I can't even fathom even having enough money to get through a single day, let alone 5 days a week. What does that mean? I'm not even looking for a job because I can't fathom even having enough energy to get through the day, let alone 5 days a week. Yeah, Tammy, you're coming off as borderline. This is, you're checking every borderline personality box. Lazy, doesn't want to work, makes excuses, histrionic, blubbering, crying, locking yourself in a room for days, making it about you. This is what borderlines do. But I've tried really hard to keep his house clean in exchange, and I still run into the same problem of no energy or motivation. But even when I do manage to get his house clean, nothing is ever said about it, or it seems he doesn't notice or appreciate my efforts at all. Because look, he's constantly walking on eggshells around you. Okay, so yeah, you might clean the house and you might do some good things here or there. Okay, but it's piled on this bad thing and that bad thing and this bad thing. He's over it. And he probably doesn't take it very seriously when you do it because he's just waiting for the next histrionic breakdown to occur. Sounds like you've broken him, really. And it probably sounds like he would have left. He would have left long ago, but it's just going to be too much of a histrionic breakdown, okay, that he doesn't want to deal with. He says he shouldn't have to say thank you because I'm not working. So it's the least I could do. Well, that's not true. Like, yeah, that's not true. You could still be a decent human being. Exactly. I mean, he'd still be a decent human being at that point. It's like the argument would be, Tammy, I do appreciate you cleaning the house, but it would be nice if I wasn't waiting for the next time you go slamming yourself and locking yourself into the guest bedroom, okay, because you didn't get your way or you're overly sensitive or something came out the wrong way or yada, because you haven't given me any reasons of why you've locked yourself in. So I've more or less stopped cleaning the house as well these days. Why? Do you want to live in a pigsty? Why? See, it just looks like you're looking for any reason you can to justify you not doing anything. So I've more or less stopped cleaning the house as well these days. I don't see any point to go beyond just the basic cleaning needed for sanitary and health reasons if he's not going to appreciate the effort. What about for you? Like, don't you want to live in a clean house? I know I'm not exactly a first round pick as far as girlfriends go anymore with as little as I am able to give nowadays. Yes, I realize this. Exactly. Like, what are you bringing to the table, Tammy? What are you bringing to the table at this point? But I was once a completely different person with energy, optimism, and so many great opportunities ahead of me. I paid for all our vacations, contributed to half the mortgage payments, sometimes all, showered him with gifts, compliments, sex, whatever I thought he wanted, and never felt any of it was ever returned or even appreciated much at all. Every time he asked me to run to the store for something he wanted, I heard the dreaded word, hurry. And believe me, no matter how fast I managed to get back with whatever he claimed to need so quickly, it was always never quick enough. I would have full-on meltdowns if the line at the store was taking more than a few minutes to get through. And I hated that a trip to the corner store became an anxiety-ridden panic attack almost every time. I think it was the little things like this, plus, and And this is only one example of countless other things that I have over time caused me to end up in such a crazy place today. So I was a classical violinist for 25 years when we met, and even played with my city's symphony orchestra. So you've been with him for 18 years. You had already been. So you're a listen. Look, Tammy, you're telling me you're telling me you're a woman probably in your mid to late. When you met him, you'd been with him for 18 years. You'd been a classical violinist for 25 already. So what were you, about 30 when you met? Late 20s, early 30s? And this guy out of nowhere is just making you jump through hoops and you're doing it? I mean, and now you're telling me you're a you're a classical violinist. I'm wondering if I'm going to read that this is something you walked away from. Okay, that this is something you walked away from because this happens with a lot of people with borderlines. Okay, they get to a certain point and they just give it up and they walk away from it and they abandon it and they make every excuse of why. And then they continue that pattern with everything in their life. Let's see. So I was a classical violinist for 25 years when we met and even played with my city symphony orchestra. But he was always late, and I wanted to add that all he ever says about being late all the time, not just for concerts, is, I'm just not good with time, and leave it at that. But I digress. About my performances, he was always late to them and always in a major hurry to leave afterwards. He was constantly rude to the other musicians and just referred to my violin playing as a cute hobby of mine. He would say it was cute how serious I seemed to take the whole thing. After I would be particularly happy about an audition or a performance that I had worked hard preparing for and would share my enthusiasm with him about it, he often responded with, "Good for you," or, "Well, look at you go." In the same tone of voice, it would be said to a 5-year-old. Needless to say, a few years into our relationship, I finally stopped playing the violin altogether. It was the same story with the job I had. I was being promoted and doing very well, but the better I did at work, the worse he seemed to treat me, and the more he downplayed my abilities and in general value and work in the working world. I've since lost that job as well. I basically lost everything at this point. Do you know what the real problem here is, Tammy? You obviously have talents. You're obviously a smart woman. Your problem is you take no, and this is the problem with borderlines. They actually take no pleasure in their own accomplishments, in their own life. They take no pleasure in it if nobody else celebrates it and nobody else sees it. They're only doing things for the adulation of other people. And that's how you've been living your life. And that's how you treat your violin. That's how you treat everything. You do it so they'll compliment you. You'll do it so you get the adulation from. But, you're with a guy who's obviously a man-child. He's obviously got his own narcissism issues on his own. Okay? So like you said, you're chasing a dragon. You are chasing a dragon because you're not actually doing anything to make yourself happy. Your happiness comes from other people's reaction of telling you how great you are. That's borderline. That's narcissism. That's how that works. You take no pleasure in any of your own accomplishments for yourself. The fact that you can't sit there and have a private moment of being proud of what you've done or being happy and content what you've done. Not even a moment. Just being content knowing that you did it. No, you need the approval of other people. That's the borderline. And when you don't get the approval of other people is when this oversensitivity comes in, and the booty hooty hooing comes in, and the storming upstairs, slamming doors, crying, and for 3 days only coming out to use the bathroom. In 2008, he told me I had to move out of his place. He still wanted to... So you moved in 2002. He tells you to move out in 2008. Most states, common law is after 7 years. So he got you to the 6th year. He knew what he was doing. All right, so he knows what he's doing. Gets you to... All right, let's see. In 2008, he told me I had to move out of his place. He still wanted to get together on weekends and insisted we were still a couple. But he thought we needed to live apart for a while due to my crazy behavior. Partly, and he didn't want to get locked in with on a common law marriage. He got you. He's getting you to move out. So he said, "Oh, look, she didn't live here. Not common law anymore." That's what he was doing. I had lost my job as well around that time due to poor attendance. As I stated above, my lowered confidence began to take its toll as well. Looking back, I would say that was almost entirely because of the stress from this relationship I was constantly battling with, because I was normally the employee who always showed up early before. But not having a job, I was unmotivated to find another one after he turned my world upside down with this decision to uproot my life by asking me to leave. But if he's asking you to leave, wouldn't you need a job? See, you're doing everything here to make yourself into the biggest victim you possibly can. So I worked side jobs here and there when I could, and when I had days I could scrape up enough energy to work. See, the energy thing, like this energy thing, this is your go-to. I don't have the energy. It's bullshit. Stop it with it's an excuse. Stop it. And it's an excuse the borderline loves. They love to use, I have no energy. And I managed to make just enough to cover staying alive, basically. I continued seeing him every weekend. He had become an addiction. I hated it, but I loved it at the same time. Just felt stuck. Then in 2012, I found myself in a situation where I had to sell my violin to pay rent. Never did it occur to you to actually play your violin to make money? Beings as I really never played anymore anyway, I sold it for $200 and later learned that my boyfriend had spent $200 on his fantasy football league run by his office the very next day after I asked him for the help. That was an especially deep wound for me, which is why I'm including this in this letter to you. I never wanted to be worried about rent money again after that experience, so it was very shortly thereafter that I met a girl who worked in the sex industry, and she helped me get into it too. I didn't care for the work, and I hated the stereotype I was taking onto myself. So you didn't have energy. You didn't have energy to get a regular job, but you had energy to go into the sex industry? But it paid my rent, covered all my living expenses, and only took an hour to 2 to make enough money to cover the entire month. So you saw no value in your violin, which you said you're a classical violinist for 25 years. But the value came out of your vagina. Interesting. It basically covered every need for survival I had at the time, covered rent, food, and was quick enough so not to require more energy than I had. It was easy money, quick money, required low self-worth to do, something I had plenty of, clearly. And I thought I could handle whatever it might mean psychologically speaking later on. And the jury is still out on that. But I do know that during that time, I had just given up on myself entirely when I decided to enter into all of that. Oh my God, I was so lost and broken. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, I was completely disoriented and didn't even know which way was up anymore. I've managed to keep this, my work as an escort while I wasn't living with him, a secret from my boyfriend. But I suspect he knows, and perhaps just unwilling to admit to himself that any woman could do that to him behind his back. So maybe he pretends not to know, but it's a secret I do hide from him for probably not right, but obvious reasons nonetheless. I feel like a horrible person for it and lying to him about it. But for me at the time, I felt I had little choice in the matter. I guess I even felt I had no choice in the matter. You had other choices. You had other choices. You didn't have energy to do anything else but to be an escort. So we lived apart for nearly 8 years before I was invited back to live with him again in 2016. Believe it or not, my boyfriend and I were much better then. I felt I could finally get on my feet again after meeting a very wealthy guy who became my only client and was especially generous with me. So you got a sugar daddy. I managed to save up a few $1,000s and quit escorting entirely. During that time, my boyfriend became an absolutely loving man who showered me with love and affection. It was like the first time we met again. The reason he said that he changed so drastically was due to a freak medical emergency. He claimed it scared him enough to change him, and suddenly he was so loving, compassionate, and attentive. At first, I didn't trust it. I thought it was an act. But you had already been living apart, like you're dating him, but you're apart now for another 8 years. This really is an addiction. But the addiction is because of your borderline, because you wanted his affection. See, the borderline always wants the affection they can't get. That's your issue. That's the dragon you're chasing. Nothing you do is for your own pleasure. You get your pleasure by other people telling you how good you are. And if you're not getting that, it's like, fuck it. I had seen his identity switch before, usually any time he felt like I might be wising up to his games because I seemed happier or more stable. But he continued this behavior of being Mr. Wonderful again with me for almost 2 years. So yeah, I trusted it was based on what I felt was proven consistency and how long he had managed to stay that way. Big mistake. Because shortly after moving back in with him, we started fighting again. Of course you would. Same problems as before, but his treatment of me got much worse. Well, yeah, because if you're going to hang around, if he's going to throw you out after 6 years, okay, obviously to avoid a common law thing, you're going to hang around for another 8 years. And then after he has a medical emergency, say, hey, let me invite her back in. Like, if you're dumb enough to go back, it's going to be worse. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be from his perspective? The cold shoulder while I was falling apart, the silent treatment, the beratement in both private and public, all the same devaluing my mindfuckery that he was a master at doing to me. I found out he was cheating on me with his best friend's sister, and he was also seeing his ex-girlfriend he was with before me several times a week. When confronted, all he said back was I had driven him to it, and seemed only concerned with when I was going to get off his back for it. was like, I said I was sorry. When are you going to get over it? Well, but you also think he knows you were an escort, right? So here's the thing. You know you're an escort. And again, like, well, you were still dating. So how are you going to fucking call him on cheating when you know you were... Now, you can rationalize it any way you want. Like, oh, it's survival. And, like, it wasn't. You sold your violin. You sold your violin, which could have made you money. Classical violinist or something else. You sold your violin so you could lay on your back. And now when he goes back and you're dumb enough to go back in there, now you're going to sit there and call him out for cheating? There are no good people in this scenario. None. Neither one of you is. You're both toxic. You're both toxic. He's a narcissist. You're a borderline. You're both toxic. There is hope, though, for you, because maybe you're not a full-blown, like I said, you're not a full-blown borderline, because a borderline wouldn't even suggest that they might be the problem. So at least you're here willing to accept that, yeah, I'm a big, big part of this problem. It's both of you. It's not just him. It's not just you. It's both of you. But you're making a lot of bad decisions. A lot of bad decisions. And you're not being completely honest as to why you're making them. I'm also well aware that he's probably seeing her, but I've gotten to the point with it that I don't even think about it much at all anymore. I can't. The pain is too much to fully get my head around, so it's all overwhelming. Yep, I might be a hopeless case with as far down the rabbit hole as I've managed to fall. I was a petite 5'4" redhead who weighed only 110 pounds when we met. I've put on a good 20 pounds in the past few years following the last time I caught him cheating with his ex. And being 46 years old, my looks have hit the wall now as well. We haven't been intimate now for over a year, so I know he's no longer attracted to me physically. That hurts, and so my faith in being able to attract a man is low to non-existent at this point. And the fear of being alone, us, a very real one for me, is a really big one for me. Why is all your self-worth in your looks and attracting a man? Again, you sold your violin, which you're a classical violinist at. Okay, and you're still worried about your vagina at 46. And your looks at 46. And I understand it's an important thing for women. It's an important thing for everybody. See why you're not happy? Because you are basing all your happiness now on who wants to fuck you. And you sold off a major piece of yourself that you should be proud of for $200. I'm laying myself out and admitting this all to you because I refuse to hold back with getting help, no matter how bad things are that I end up exposing about myself. I'm ready to be an open book because I really do want to know if I have any chance to get out. Hiding anything might make your assessment of my situation seem more positive than it would be otherwise, and I don't want to put any of my very limited amount of energy into anything that I'm not absolutely sure has at least a fighting chance to actually pay off. I'm not asking for any guarantees, just validation. I don't know how much the problem is you got to be able to validate yourself. I mean, you could accept my validation all day long. Okay? But let's just say this dude actually validated you. Would that have really have made you happy? I doubt it. Because you would have been looking for the next validation. There's always going to be a dragon. There's a reason why your brain operates the way it does. He didn't create you. He didn't make you like this. There's always going to be a dragon you're chasing in your life. Why? Because you don't value your own accomplishments unless somebody else validates it for you. Facts. Feelings don't come easily anymore, and that is crazy with how sensitive I once was. I often feel like I want to cry, but physically I can't cry anymore, so I will just sit and space out. I suppose I just indulge in the nothing I feel, and it's absolutely the worst place I have ever been in my life. I am like a human vacuum, suffocating slowly, and nobody knows. No, more like nobody cares. But please, as bad as this all sounds, please take into consideration my raw honesty throughout this short novel of a letter, and trust when I say this, I am not suicidal. You do not come off as suicidal to me whatsoever. Borderlines rarely are. A lot of them say they are. They want you to think they are. They're not. It's part of the histrionics. I'm not suicidal, or at least I know that I will not kill myself. I know this because I actually tried to kill myself in a very serious way about 3 years ago, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, and knew in that moment that I just didn't have what it took to get past that darn survival instinct. So I had to accept that I didn't have the option anymore as a possible way out, and so I don't even go there anymore. It has become an impossibility for me, which sometimes sucks, but it's just my reality when I'm honest with myself. It'll just never happen. So trust me, there is no danger of that. At least when it comes to me, there isn't. Losing my mind, however, that's a completely different story. I know I should leave, but I'm not convinced 100% that this whole mess isn't because of me. It doesn't matter anymore. The whole thing is toxic. Maybe he could be right and I was the problem all along. I'm not trying to sound like a victim. I've read all about narcissism and have watched tons of videos. But I need to hear the opinion of another person who understands this kind of person. I think the term narcissist is used far too much. I've seen way too many times where a woman is yelling narcissist and pointing at a man who lied about something, or even a man who cheated on her. To me, there is a sadistic combo that must be present. You almost can't even put your finger on it. That slowly destroys a victim before they have any clue what's going on. To me, that's what a true narcissist is. But seeing so many claims that I know are completely invalid, made by unhinged and jaded women, has caused the word to lose its power and meaning. Well, I knew that was going to happen. Everybody was going to catch on. Everybody was going to catch on to the vernacular, and then it was going to be turned around and used against us. Narcissism seems so common now, with everyone claiming everyone else is one, that I start feeling that I even start feeling like maybe it's just not even a big deal at all. And so I feel invalidated and more or less in a sea of lost in a sea of women who are claiming to be enduring this hell as well, when they actually aren't in the same trap, but just angry or seeking revenge or justification for why a man can no longer tolerate her. Now, who are you talking about there, Tammy? Who are you talking about there, really? How can someone who actually is a victim of a narcissist ever hope to stand out in this mess and actually find the right support needed when this is the case nowadays? It makes it harder and harder. Look, I knew this was going to happen. If anybody who's followed me since 2014, said, I knew this was going to happen. they were going to catch on and they were going to take the whole topic as their own. I'm pretty much friendless, jobless, and carless at this point, stuck. I have a little saved money in the bank from the client I told you about, which eights is just to get out, but feeling very, wait a minute. I have a little saved money in the bank from the client I told you about, which eight's just enough to get out, but which is just enough to get out, but feeling stuck due to this issue of the overuse of the term narcissism, and therefore questioning the issue altogether even exists. And this is where you come in. I know I have to go. That's not my question, because I am aware that no matter what, this is a very toxic situation I am in now. But I want to hear what you have to say regarding your opinion of what the actual issue is. I know I have issues, major ones, that I'll need to work on. But do you feel he could be a narcissist? He could be narcissistic based on what I told you in this letter? Or is the issue more on me? My treatment of him? Should I have been more lenient with him? Or maybe did I actually make mountains out of molehills somewhere in this? My suspicions valid that he is probably a narcissist, or am I delusional, or both? I told you what the issue, where this all stems from. This all stems from you don't get any validation from yourself. You need it from other people. So you're always chasing the dragon. This guy just wouldn't give you what you needed. So you're just constantly stuck on him and chasing him. Is he a narcissist? He sounds like it. Sounds like he has some pretty severe narcissistic tendencies, selfish tendencies. But if not, I mean, you're 50-50, if not 60-40 in this. I mean, with the histrionics, the carrying on. I mean, you're both to blame. But you have major, major, major issues. I mean, you're addressing him. Again, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell a lot of people. He's not your problem. He's the symptom of it. Your problem is whoever broke your self-esteem in your childhood, i.e. probably your mother, because borderlines make borderlines. I'm sure this all stems from her. Okay? That's where this all gets cleaned up. If you got the money to leave and you want to leave, leave. This energy excuse you're using is just that. It's an excuse. Sorry this got so long. It really took up all my energy probably for the entire week just to write it out. And I see, you got to stop with that. You see, this is what you do. And this is the energy, and this is how you're talking, and this is how you carry, you go through life. Nobody wants to hear it, Tammy. Nobody. Not your friends, not a potential mate, not family. Nobody. They get exhausted. Mentally exhausting. Now, you want exhausting? That's exhausting. And really, I really appreciate that you took the time to read it. Please just help point me in the right direction about what the issue actually was here, in your opinion. Is this just me not being strong enough to deal with normal problems in a relationship? Partially. Am I just another spoiled, entitled female trying to claim I'm a victim of narcissism over things that do not fit narcissism at all in reality? I really hope I'm not one of those women, but if you think I could be, I really need to hear and accept it. Please give me an honest opinion. I think this is borderline personality. It's as close to it. True borderlines never ask the question they don't want to know. They would never accept it. So, like, this is not like end all be all. You're a total fucking piece of garbage. I just don't think you understood why you're doing what you're doing. But you have to understand that behavior has to stop. Nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody. No one. No one. No one. And you make it real easy for somebody to give it back to you or abuse you or to talk shit on you when you constantly act like that. My other motive for writing you and requesting you post it publicly is maybe it could help others as well in the same situation. And if you would, please stress the absolute importance of not overusing this word narcissism, because the real victims out there end up losing their voice in the crowd. It hurts them. And I really hope I'm not talking out of turn in saying this, because maybe I'm not a real victim either, in which case I'm just as guilty as the rest. But either way, it's an important message that needs to be conveyed. One, I'm hoping you can either validate or correct me on, even if need be. It's the same with actual rape survivors. So many women lie about it that the real victims get overlooked and not believed almost automatically. It's a guilty till you prove otherwise situation, and that blame lies on the shoulders of those who have lied about it in the past, and those who didn't get enough, who don't know enough about what it actually is to make such a claim. I cringe at the mere thought of saying my boyfriend is a narcissist, because I know the way many are starting to feel nowadays about any woman claiming that, and I can't blame them. Who could? It's getting bad. It's getting worse, where you're automatically guilty of lying till you prove otherwise. And with the nature of this beast, proof is very difficult, if not impossible, to supply sometimes. So women need to think twice before uttering this word and realize they are severely hurting actual victims here. They may even be killing them in the long run. I've told people that. Not everybody's a narcissist. Not everybody's a narcissist. See, look. I tell everybody, you have one narcissist in your life. The only narcissist in your life that matters is the one who broke you. That's it. That's it. Every time, this is a narc, and that's a narc, and this is a narc, I'm like, whoa. Those are symptoms. Okay, because that's the society we live in. Societal narcissism. Huge topic on the channel. Huge topic on the channel. Okay? Nothing you can do about that. You got to be aware of it. You're not going to be able to do anything about the rest of the societal narcissists until you deal with the narcissist who actually broke you. And that ain't him. That ain't this guy. Thank you so much for your time, Ollie. I enjoy your channel and love the new political direction it's taken. You speak from a place of hard truth, something the world really needs a lot more of these days. Hope you keep going with it, and I wish you and yours the best. A loyal subscriber, Gen Xer, and proud Trump-supporting American, Tammy. You know, I don't think you're a bad person, Tammy. I don't. I don't think you're one of these typical borderline monsters. Okay? But you were raised by this. This has been how you were taught, and you only get validation through other people. That's your real problem, is you can't make yourself happy. Okay? Because you're trying to get validation through other people for your accomplishments. Okay? And you're just making a lot of excuses. Is he a narc, your boyfriend? Probably. Is he the main problem in the relationship? No. Okay. Are there 1,000 red flags before any of it? Yeah. Okay. There's only one narcissist that you should care about in your life, and that's the narcissist that broke you. Period. So, I hope that helps, Tammy. Thank you so much for your contribution and story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you, as Google has completely demonetized this channel from YouTube. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Generation X Politics. Take care.